When I got transported into this book, the story was almost over. I was about to marry Hector, the male lead, while everyone cheered for us. But after picking up a phone call, Hector turned pale as a ghost. He pushed me away and ran out of the chapel. Oh, right on cue, Eliza, the heroine, probably just attempted suicide and is being rushed to the hospital. So, I became Tina, the villain in this fake and true heiress novel. I am the true heiress, while Eliza's the fake one. Once the truth came out, I got taken back into the wealthy family, and Eliza got kicked out. Everything that was hers, loving parents, a handsome and rich fiancé, a fortune, became mine. Eliza fell from grace, losing everything. Her adoptive parents of 18 years disowned her, her once loving brother called her a thief, and her fiancé broke off the engagement in a heartbeat. Eliza tried so hard to prove she wasn't in it for the money, she never wanted to compete with me. She only craved family love. She worked at your group but was fired by her father, who believed she was after the inheritance. She gave me gifts to mend our relationship, but her brother thought she was trying to harm me and slapped her. She wished me and Hector well at our wedding, but people thought she was the secret lover and she got cyberbullies. On the momentous day of my wedding with Hector, consumed by despair, Eliza attempted suicide. But it was her suicide attempt that woke everyone up. Her parents remembered the 18 years they'd spent raising her, Otto recalled the sweet little sister who used to follow him around, and Hector remembered her clumsy yet earnest efforts to make him happy. Everyone was filled with regret. Right then, Eliza's journals came to light, revealing her deep affection for her family, love for Hector, the guilt, and the best wishes she had for me. She apologized to everyone in her diaries, saying over and over again she never wanted a dispute over money, just a bit of affection. Everyone felt even worse and vowed to do everything to make up for it. Once Eliza got out of the hospital, she was welcomed back home, and her parents showered her with love. Hector realized his true feelings and, after persistent attempts, finally ended up with Eliza. As for me, the villain of the tale, due to my numerous jealous and vindictive acts against Eliza, I was completely rejected by everyone. Driven mad, I eventually tried to run Eliza over, but karma struck. She miraculously survived without a scratch, while I died in a car accident. When I stepped into the book, we'd reached the part where Hector and I were getting married. As the officiant asked whether I'd take him for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, I shook my head and said, I don't. The whole room was stunned. Hector whispered to me, what do you think you're doing? There's a whole crowd here. I nodded at the phone that had been buzzing non-stop in his pocket. You've got a call, I gently reminded him. Hector pulled out his phone and glanced at the screen. Recognizing the number, he frowned and started to hang up. I quickly stopped him. Don't hang up. Trust me, you'll regret it. In the original story, Eliza regretted her actions after attempting suicide, and instinctively called Hector for help. But he ignored it because of the ongoing wedding, almost costing Eliza her chance to be saved. In the later chapters, those unanswered calls became a source of immense pain between Hector and Eliza. But not this time. I wasn't about to let them go through that. Saving a life is a big deal after all. Seeing me insist, Hector pressed to answer the call, still looking perplexed. The next instant, he went pale, pushed me away, and rushed out of the church. The room erupted in chaos. Confused, shocked, and gleeful eyes landed on me. My parents and brother Otto quickly rushed to my side, looking both worried and angry. Before they could say anything, I blurted out, Dad, Mom, Hector just got a call from Eliza. I overheard her saying she slit her wrists and wanted Hector to save her. My mom paled instantly. It wasn't easy to cut emotional ties with someone you raised for over 20 years. She wobbled a bit, looking unsteady on her feet, her worry spilling out. Eliza tried to kill herself? When did this happen? Where is she? Has she been taken to the hospital? Even my usually composed father was tense. I forced a pale smile, I don't know. I didn't get it all over the phone. No, you need to find out. I have to go see her, Mom said, stopping halfway, glancing nervously at me. She realized that her other daughter was now abandoned by her fiancé at the altar because of Eliza, dealing with all these staring eyes. I put on a brave front, gently saying, it's okay. If you need to go, go for it. I can handle things here. Eliza might be in critical condition. Don't worry about me. I understand. After all, you've been together for over 20 years. Feelings aren't easy to cut off like that. In the original story, I threw a fit after Hector left, even forcing my parents not to visit Eliza. It made me a spectacle and deepened their guilt towards her. But this time, I did the opposite, encouraging them to see her. They left, constantly glancing back at me with worry and guilt. "Otto, you should go too," I said, still trying to smile despite feeling like I was about to fall apart. But Otto just shook his head slightly. "She's got enough people. I'll stay here with you." In the original story, Eliza didn't receive timely help and suffered critical blood loss. But this time, once she made the call, Hector rushed over, getting her to the hospital. She only had minor injuries. After a quick patch-up, the doctor said she could leave. When Mom and Dad got there, they found Eliza in bright spirits, chatting closely with Hector. I thought she'd be barely hanging on, looking incredibly weak. But Eliza looked just like her usual self, apart from some bandages around her wrist. Thinking back on how we were left at the wedding scene because of her, facing judgmental looks, we had to pretend to be strong for our daughter. They were mad, to say the least. "Dad. Mom." Eliza's face lit up at first, then it hit her and she dropped her head, looking pitiful. "Uncle, Auntie," she murmured. Well, after raising her for over 20 years, feelings aren't easily destroyed. Her mom spoke up. "Is everything all right? What did the doctor say?" Eliza awkwardly hid her hand behind her back and muttered, "It's nothing serious, just some scratches." "I'm sorry to worry you." "Good," her dad snapped back, "You're an adult, yet you act so recklessly." Eliza's eyes turned red. Her parents never used to speak to her like that. Just because there's no blood relation, did they really erase all those past feelings? Fighting back tears, she apologized, "I'm sorry, really. I didn't mean to cause trouble. I just. Her dad cut her off before she could continue. "You didn't mean it, but you did it. Of all days to attempt suicide, you chose the one when Tina and Hector got married? And right in the middle of it too? You had a phone full of contacts, but you called the groom to save you? Even if you couldn't reach any friends, could you not have called for an ambulance?" Eliza was shocked by her dad's view. The father she had always respected actually thought this of her. Did he really think she was out to ruin Tina's wedding? That was never her intention. At that moment, she was just panicking and didn't know what to do, so she dialed Hector. She never planned to take anything from Tina, so why did they always misjudge her? Without the blood ties, did they think she became such a despicable person? Tina felt a painful tightness in her chest. She wanted to cry, to be comforted, but knew it'd only make things worse. So she swallowed her tears, bowed deeply. "I'm sorry, really sorry. I was too immature and didn't think things through. But I swear, I had no intention of troubling Tina. Please pass on my apologies to her, and tell her." Eliza took a deep breath to say the bitter truth. "I'm leaving and won't show up again to bother you all. Uncle, Auntie, thank you for everything over the years. And I'm sorry for the hurt I caused recently. Please forgive me. I wish you and Tina all the best for the future." Tears streamed down as she ran out of the hospital, pushing Hector aside before anyone could react. Oh, the poor kid, the mother couldn't help feeling heartache as she watched Eliza's retreating figure. The usually stern father also stayed silent, retreating to a corner for a smoke. Once home, an atmosphere of sadness hung over them. I had anticipated it, sighing after checking on Eliza. "Dad, Mom, maybe we should let Eliza come back. It's just an extra pair of chopsticks at the table." Both of them looked surprised. Her dad shook his head first. "No, she moved out, there's no going back. Tina, don't overthink it. Since you're back, you're our only daughter here. We were mistaken before, but now we won't get confused." I sighed. "Dad, Mom, I know you're looking out for me, afraid I'd get upset. But I really don't mind if Eliza comes back. We were both victims swapped at birth as babies. I've never blamed her. You spend over 2 decades with her, those feelings don't just vanish. I understand you care for me and purposely distanced yourself from her. You didn't feel good about it either. I don't want to see you guys hurt. So, let's have Eliza back. Tina, you really don't mind if Eliza returns?" Her mom was incredulous. Really, couldn't be more true. I gave the warmest, most sincere smile possible. Sometimes, putting it out in the open is better than holding back feelings. It's better to let my folks show their care and guilt for Eliza now. After all, Eliza claims she needs love and doesn't want conflict. I'll give her the love she craves and see if she's as kind-hearted as she thinks. For over 20 years, Eliza was the apple of everyone's eye, a carefree princess. But now, back home, she seemed nervous, not daring to make eye contact. She sheepishly stood at the door with a worn suitcase, watching my reaction. It seemed like she wouldn't step in unless I nodded. I noticed the hint of pain in my parents' eyes. But with me there, they didn't express it. I felt like the bad guy tearing apart their happy trio. Being the villain has its charm. I smiled, turning to Eliza, "Come in, don't stand there like a stranger. Make yourself at home." Eliza entered, still not meeting my gaze. It felt awkward, and her mom quickly added, "Eliza, I already had your new room prepped on the second floor around the corner. Go check it out, and let us know if something's missing." Eliza looked overwhelmed with gratitude but quickly refused, "Auntie, I'm fine in the helper's room, no need for such a nice one." I couldn't help but frown. Does every drama protagonist have a knack for self-sacrifice? With so many empty rooms, one more won't hurt. Choosing the helper's room only adds discomfort for herself and others. Is feeling pitted worth anything? Oh, maybe it has one perk, tugging at my parents' heartstrings. Watching her quietly protest with, "It doesn't matter, I'll sleep anywhere," I got a bit frustrated. I grabbed her suitcase and took it to the room upstairs. I said, "Treat this like your own home, no need to be restrained. Ask for what you want, don't put yourself down. With a big family and all, we're not short of money, so there's no need to suffer." Eliza stared at me blankly, eventually hanging her head and whispering softly, "Okay, thank you, Miss Tina." Then she grabbed her suitcase, tiptoeing quietly into her new room. Watching her act all timid like a quail unable to lift its head, I couldn't help but feel a bit frustrated. No one's bullying her, so what's with the act? Maybe sensing my cold demeanor, my mom cautiously asked, "Tina, are you upset? If you don't want her here, she can move out." I shook my head with a smile. "Mom, don't say things like that. Eliza just got back, and making her leave already would be really hard on her. I'm not upset, so don't worry about it." "That's good," she said, taking my hand and speaking earnestly. "I do have some feelings for Eliza, but no matter what, you're our real daughter. I'll always be on your side. If she ever makes you unhappy, just say so, and I'll have her leave right away. You don't have to put anyone else's needs before your own. You're too considerate, always keeping things to yourself. It pains me to see that." Seeing the genuine kindness in my mom's eyes, my heart warmed, and I gave a sincere smile for the first time since I've been here. "Got it, Mom. I won't let myself be put down. You should also stop worrying so much about me. I can understand everything. Honestly, I don't have any big grudges against Eliza. In the original story, she was pure, kind, emotional, and innocent, basically, a pure and beautiful soul. After finding out about her true background, she decisively chose to leave and never targeted the villain, Tina. But Tina held a grudge and targeted her, which led to her downfall. As for Eliza eventually gaining everything that belonged to Tina, the parents' affection, well, there's nothing to be done about it with over a decade of bonding. Otto, the brother's love, well, he grew up with her. Hector, the fiancé's love, well, even though the engagement was with Tina, he fell for Eliza first. In short, Eliza's purity and kindness made everyone fall for her. Tina's spitefulness caused everyone to discard her. It seems like nobody did anything wrong. There are no brainless bystanders, nor are there any harsh, unkind parents. It all seems to boil down to Tina just being petty and selfish. But who made her that way? If she wasn't placed in a poor family, subjected to domestic abuse, and given a rough upbringing, she wouldn't have ended up like this. She could have been innocent and carefree, like the original Eliza, believing that as long as there's love, nothing else matters. I'm not noble enough to seek justice for Tina. I'm just curious, if you put Eliza, the pure soul, into real adversity, could she stay clean? You said you only want familial love and to be loved. Well then, I'll give you that. But as for Tina's inheritance, wealth, social status, and honors, don't even think about it. I hope you truly remain unchanged by greed. Let's cancel the engagement. In the cafe, I sat quietly across from Hector. His handsome brow furrowed, and he cleared his throat slightly. I can explain what happened at the wedding, he said. No need. It's unrelated to that, I replied. I just don't think we are a good match. Hector let out a sarcastic laugh. Are you really going to make a fuss with me? Nobody is making a fuss, I continued, calm as ever. Let's keep it straightforward. Can't we part with a bit of dignity? He narrowed his eyes, scrutinizing me, but I held his gaze, unflinching. Eventually, he relented. Fine, leaving during the wedding was my fault. I apologize. But our marriage affects our family's business dealings. Tina, you should discuss it with your family and not make such a hasty decision. If you're hoping to use my parents to pressure me, I said coolly, sorry to disappoint you. We've already talked about it. They support my decision to call off the engagement and reassess our business ties with your family. You've known all along our marriage is a business arrangement. In business, integrity is everything. Your action of ditching a partner midway shows a lack of character and capability. I didn't back down. A vein throbbed on Hector's forehead, but he swallowed his anger, shooting back, hasn't anyone told you, Miss Tina, that fiery-tempered women end up alone? Only men who are smugly confident treat women that way, I retorted. I wasn't going to argue with a self-righteous CEO, but was curious. If you chose to leave the wedding to go to Eliza, you must have feelings for her. Why not just be with her? In the original plot, Hector was supposed to realize his feelings after Eliza harmed herself, quickly calling off the engagement and crazily pursuing her. But so far, nothing has happened. Could my intervention, the butterfly effect, maybe, have kept Hector from realizing his love? He shifted uncomfortably. Eliza and I are like siblings. She's too immature. I need a business partner to work with, not someone to babysit. Besides, she's no longer the sole heiress in your family. Mine would never accept a woman without benefits. Hearing someone admit to mooching so directly was baffling. I began to doubt the authenticity of that supposed epic love from the original story. If Hector really loved Eliza, why did he cut ties with her as soon as he learned about her background and marry the villain instead after Eliza was cast out? Surely, if you love someone, you'd help them at their lowest, right? It seemed at the moment he might have been moved by Eliza's self-harm, but his supposed love couldn't stand up to the lure of profit. Who can say if his pursuit wasn't just an act after seeing his parents' fondness for Eliza? He simply wanted to marry a rich daughter. Whether it was Eliza or someone else didn't matter to him. I felt a wave of nausea and decided there was no reason to keep pretending with this guy. Mr. Hector, I didn't come here for your opinion, just to notify you. Whether you agree or not, this engagement is off. Prolonging this is just messy. Leaving those words, I walked away without caring about Hector's expression. How Eliza could be so into him, I have no idea. It's seriously uninspiring. Why bother with drama with people like that when making money is more important? As soon as I stepped out of the cafe, I called my brother Otto. Hey, bro.
Yeah,
It's all taken care of, don't worry. Did everything go smoothly with the company paperwork? Yep, awesome, thanks, bro. Hearing that all the formalities for joining the company were wrapped up put a genuine smile on my face. In the original book, Tina was useless and overly ambitious. She joined the company just because she was rich, landing a department manager position out of nowhere. She didn't know a thing about the work, bossing others around, making lots of employees unhappy. Finally, after messing up a crucial project, several shareholders got fed up with Dad's favoritism and insisted during a shareholders meeting that Tina be removed. Dad had no choice but to fire her under the pressure. But Tina didn't stop there, she threw a tantrum, trying to drag Eliza down, too, even though Eliza worked in a different department. Dad fired Eliza along with Tina just to appease everyone. To be fair, Eliza, raised like a princess, only had average work skills. But compared to the tantrum-throwing, incompetent Tina, at least she was diligent and never caused trouble. Thanks to Tina's extreme behavior, Eliza looked much better in comparison. Those in the know quietly gossiped. Good education makes a real difference compared to just pretending. Tina's just a flashy wannabe, Eliza's the real deal. A chicken can't become a phoenix just by putting on feathers. These whispers drove Tina even crazier, pushing her to go after Eliza with even more vengeance. Honestly, I couldn't care less about this messy tug-of-war. Before getting sucked into this story, I worked hard in a big tech firm and was about to enjoy a well-deserved promotion. As a workaholic, I find zero interest in love drama or girl fights. My goals after getting here are simple: money, money, and more money. In the original story, Otto was all about art, not business. Dad planned on grooming Tina, but she ruined it herself. In the end, the company naturally fell into Eliza's hands. However, Eliza was clueless about running a business, and eventually, the Year group faded and became just an offshoot of the Hector group. Eliza then happily became the little lovebird behind Hector's success. When I first read this part, I just sighed in disbelief. Year group was one of the top enterprises in NYC, worth billions, and Eliza just handed it over to Hector so easily. To be honest, love is the priciest thing in the world. I even suspected Hector's unwavering devotion was just a ploy due to Eliza's love-obsessed nature. But that's not happening anymore. Every penny of the Year group will be mine. Those lovebirds can live happily ever after if they want. I didn't swoop in as the department manager like in the novel. I started from the bottom. But I'm not pretending not to be the real heiress. Background's my trump card, making sure no one underestimates me. And my own skills are the only way to actually earn others' respect. You can't lack either one. Before, I was just a nobody with no power. Yet I still hustled and climbed up with my skills. This time, with my heiress status and dad subtly grooming me as the next heir, I'm thriving in the company. Everyone genuinely respects me now. On the flip side, Eliza's not doing as well. Her skills weren't remarkable to begin with, and compared to me, she's even more overshadowed. Fake versus real, there's a genetic gap, plain to see. How could Eliza, supposedly trained for years in elite stuff, be so incompetent? Fake will never beat real, and some people just can't make progress. Why is she even staying here? Is she planning to rival Tina? The remarks that once crushed Tina now fell on Eliza. To sway my favor, many started badmouthing Eliza right in front of me. But I didn't flinch. Everyone has their role and strengths. Eliza works hard and hasn't messed up. Don't start forming cliques here. Eliza indeed focused on her tasks, but was mostly handling basic stuff. Printing documents, ordering lunch, delivering materials. Anyone could order her around. Without professional skills and business knowledge, she couldn't handle anything else. Plus, she lost her family backing. Dad didn't even want her in the company. She got in through an application. When he found out, he was furious, snapping at home, "Our family assets are for Tina. You've got nothing to do with it." Eliza instantly started crying. She couldn't believe Dad. "Dad, is that what you think? You believe I joined to steal power from Tina?" "I didn't. I never thought that. I didn't want to stay home doing nothing. I wanted to help you guys as much as I could." Honestly, I can't wrap my head around Eliza's logic. If redemption means doing a no-skill job for $4,000 a month, that's a cheap way to atone. Moreover, she never handed that salary to the family. Didn't it all end up in her pocket? Does merely holding a job count as redemption for her? Then aren't all workers in the world paying for their boss's forgiveness? Usually, I kept a mutual non-interference policy with her. But hearing this, I couldn't help frowning. No one's blaming you. No need for self-redemption. Instead of a random desk job, staying home with Mom might mean more. Otto and I are super busy. Mom's probably lonely. If you can keep Mom company, we'd really appreciate it. I thought my words made sense and were sincere. But Eliza, as if insulted, looked at me pained. "Do you also think I'm here to compete with you? Again, I'm not, and I don't care to. I don't want anything to do with the family's assets at all. I just want my parents to see my efforts. I want them to acknowledge me. I just want them to love me like they used to." As she was saying this, she couldn't help but cover her face and sob. "Why does everyone have to say this about me? Why do you all think this way about me? I'm really not after the family's money. I've never thought about competing with anyone for anything. Just because I'm not your biological daughter, does the love from the past 20 years mean nothing? How can you be so heartless, Mom and Dad?" Watching her break down again, my temples throbbed with pain. This wasn't the first time. Since she moved in, this drama has played out every few days. Eliza always acted like she was suffering immense injustice, always timid and unable to hold her head high. If nothing's happening, she hides in her room. When it's time to eat, she clutches her bowl, takes a few bites quickly, and leaves, refusing to sit at the table with the family. If someone suggests she sit down and eat, she gives a bitter yet brave smile and says, "It's okay, you guys go ahead, I'm fine." Sometimes when mom feels like going shopping and invites her, she looks shocked and nervously declines. I have enough clothes, really, no need. Mom, you should go with Tina instead. No one's targeting her, but she always looks worried and wronged. Sometimes, when my parents can't take it anymore and say something harsh, she cries and says, I didn't mean it that way. I just want a bit of love like before. Why can't you treat me like that again? Then my parents, looking resigned, would let it go, leaving her be. As for Eliza, she doesn't really concern me. Most of the company's shares are with me, I'm the primary heir in the will, Otto even ranks behind me. So, having one more mouth to feed in the family doesn't bother me. She doesn't even qualify as a rival to me. But always wearing that pitiful face, like she's been bullied by me, can get annoying over time. I'm done humoring her, so I said coldly, you always say you're not after the family's assets, just love. Fine, since that's the case, let me ask you. From the moment you learned about your true identity till now, have you contacted your biological parents even once? Aren't you lacking love? Why not seek it from them? What? Love from wealthy adoptive parents counts, but from your non-wealthy biological parents, it doesn't. Hearing this, Eliza looked as if she'd been hit hard. Her face turned red and pale repeatedly. She opened her mouth several times before hesitantly stuttering, I'm not, I just forgot, okay? With such a big revelation, I'm still in shock. I didn't think it through. Why do you all have to think this about me when that's not how I feel? She pleaded. Tired of her self-pity, I cut her short, because the way you behave makes people think that. No one has ever targeted you or excluded you. You've just constantly played the tragic heroine. You keep saying it's unintentional, just a coincidence. Yet, how come every just coincidence benefits you? You're doing it on purpose. You can't let go of the family's assets. You're just unwilling to face the truth, unwilling to admit it, I said. You want to seem innocent and pure, achieve everything without even a speck of dirt. Eliza, this routine is tiresome after the first time. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. My parents didn't look pleased, but didn't interrupt me. They had their doubts, but tried to spare Eliza's feelings. After all, they've been through the business world for years and know people. Eliza's little tricks don't hold up here. Otto absent-mindedly peeled shrimp for me, acting like he didn't care. But their silence was endorsement enough for my words. Eliza looked like she'd been struck by lightning. Her face went pale, and she trembled uncontrollably, barely able to stand. She looked around at the family, seeking someone to support her. However, their silence said it all, it completely crushed her. Eliza let out a heartbreaking smile. So, this is how you all see me. Aha. Unable to take it anymore, she wiped her tears, turned around, and stumbled out of the house. I watched her leave with indifference. Maybe on the surface, she seemed innocent and without malice. But this innocence even deceived her. The subconscious influence on actions cannot lie. Eliza wasn't the pure soul she believed herself to be, she just wouldn't admit it. But, speaking of which, I didn't really care where Eliza went, but I did want to consider my parents' feelings. They were good people, and I didn't want to make them sad. Mom, Dad, did I go too far just now? Mom shook her head, a bitter smile on her face. You just told the truth. Eliza, that child, sigh, we spared her feelings out of past sentiment and didn't want to shatter the illusion. It's good that you said it directly, she needs to grow up. So she leaves just like that, and never comes back? I was a bit surprised that my usually soft-hearted mother was so accepting. Sigh, I've been thinking. Forcing her to come back isn't beneficial either for you or her. We've given her a good life for over a decade and haven't asked for anything back. Even after leaving, she'll still live well. In the end, our family doesn't owe her anything. Let's leave it at that. Relationships depend on fate, if there's no fate, why force it? Mom looked relieved, and even though Dad, Otto, didn't say anything, he clearly agreed with her. A warmth filled my heart. So from now on, just our family. Our family of 4 will live well, I added. Eliza, showing some pride, didn't return after leaving the house. She still had money from the family, so her life wasn't a worry. As for me, I balanced my career and family, working diligently and spending time with my parents. Although not related by blood, they treated me well, and I was grateful. After Hector found out that I was going to be the next Heir of the Year group, he unsurprisingly started clinging again, constantly begging to get back together. But after I snagged several big deals from his company and left him overwhelmed, he finally stopped showing up in front of me. Everything's back on track and thriving. One night, half asleep, I thought I saw Tina, the real Tina, standing at my bedside and bowing to me. She thanked me for living a new path for her, for honoring her parents, and for fulfilling her regrets. "Are you going to be reincarnated?" I asked, reaching out with a feeling as I watched her spirit slowly become transparent, yet my hand grasped nothing but air. "Yes," she smiled. "I have no regrets now, so I can be reincarnated peacefully. I wish you all the best in the future, may you live a safe and successful life." Looking at her clear and serene smile, I couldn't help but reach out to hug her, but I only embraced thin air. Tina was gone. Yet, in the empty room, I still offered my own blessings. "I hope your next life is safe and smooth, free from any hardships. Also, there's no point in competing with anyone. You are who you are, not less than anyone else. Just be yourself. Don't beat yourself up, that's enough."